Hello and welcome to the interview on France 24. We're in Deauville in Normandy, France, at the Women's Forum. And my guest is Cherie Blair, barrister, activist, and wife of former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Last time someone introduced me, they described me as the former wife of the British Prime Minister, Tony Blair.
I try not to make the mistake, actually. Why did you come to Deauville, Cherie Blair? What does this Women's Forum mean to you?
Well, I came to Deauville at the very first forum here, and I haven't been back for some time, so I was fascinated to come and see how much progress has been made. And
in what respects?
Well, I'm particularly interested in a European voice, because I go to a lot of women's conferences, and I think a lot of that is driven by an American voice. And I feel that in Europe, we also have a lot to say about women's issues, and so Deauville is a wonderful experience and an opportunity to say that actually European women have opinions on this and have solutions to the problem of how do we achieve equality for women.
You actually have been very active since you left 10 Downing Street, running your own foundation. You focused on technology and more specifically on mobile applications for women in Africa. You created an application in partnership with Nokia for women entrepreneurs. So what is it? What is so specific about women entrepreneurs in Africa?
Well, let me talk about why women entrepreneurs first. Because I strongly believe that if women have economic independence, it gives them choices. And when they have choices, they can make decisions for themselves and they can start influencing not just their family, but the wider society. So how do we give women financial independence? Often, particularly in women in the emerging and developing markets.
Yeah, most of the time we talk about Africa, in terms of poverty, not really about, women and women entrepreneurs and opportunities for women. Are there new opportunities for them?
Absolutely. Africa is the new place, and the growth rates in Africa put us in Europe to shame. And there are real opportunities there. We need to make sure that women are getting fair access. Now, why are they not getting fair access? Because it's much harder for women to get access to capital. It's much harder for women to be taken seriously, and often they lack confidence themselves. And finally, they often haven't had the business training. I mean, it's not, part of it is instinct to run a business, of course, but a lot of it is about knowing the right things to do, training and education, but practical business training. My foundation tries to assist with that, and it tries to use the benefits of modern technology, because with modern technology, you can reach more people, you can take things to scale, and you can get things done.
So what is exactly this application you're doing with Nokia?
Let me tell you what we're doing with Nokia and with MGN, who is one of the largest mobile phone providers in Nigeria. First of all, the women are getting this service for the first 6 months free. After that, it will be less than $1 a month to have the service. So what is the service? Well, when you think about it, in Nigeria and Africa, we take the internet for granted. But many women who have access to a mobile phone don't have access to the internet on that. But they still have a tool which can give them access to information. And so what the Businesswomen app does, it is a designed program of 250 text messages, which are rolled out over a period of a year, 4 or 5 a week, which provide basic business information, tips, some quizzes to businesswomen so that they can be informed of the things that often they don't know and told where to go from there.
Is there actually a gender gap in terms of technology?
There is absolutely a gender gap in technology. One of the first things my foundation did when we were founded 3 years ago was with the GSMA, the Global Mobile body, to see whether women were getting equal access to mobile technology. And across the world, there is a 21% gender gap. But in Africa, it's 25%, and in fact, in Asia, it's 37%. So women who could be getting access to mobile technology are not doing so. And we said to the industry, this is a lost opportunity. That's a $13 billion business opportunity that you are not developing. So then what we wanted to do is to explore, well, how could you use the mobile phone to help women in business? Hence the Businesswomen app, which we're doing in Nigeria, and later we're taking it in December, to Indonesia, and beyond that to Egypt next year.
Your father, Cherie Blair, left your mother when you were 8 years old. What has been the impact of this personal experience on your choices as a woman?
I think that the first thing it showed me was that women are reliable, and sadly many men are not. It also showed me that if you give women the tools, they will get on with the job. My own mother, because her own mother had died, had to leave school at 14, and she found herself with two young daughters aged 8 and 6, and without much wherewithal to make her own living. But she struggled and she did it. She brought us up. And there are many, many women across the world that if you can just help them, they will not only help themselves, they will help their families and the wider community.
So it had an impact on your vision of women in society?
Very much an impact on my vision, and also on the need to be financially independent. Because as I said before, if you have financial independence, you have choices. You can walk away from dysfunctional relationships. If you have no financial independence, you are stuck.
You knew that when you were 10 years old?
I learned that, not perhaps when I was 10 years old, but I definitely knew it by the time I was 18.
And did you put pressure on your daughters?
I have one daughter and 3 sons, and the big challenge for me, you know, is about making sure that my sons are going to be the sort of men who, unlike their grandfather, stick with their families and support them, because I think that...
So you put pressure on them, actually, much more than on your daughter.
And I'm very worried that my future daughter-in-laws are going to turn around to me and say, what sort of husbands have you provided us with? You know, we want, you know, I hope, actually, I think they're doing pretty well, and they're pretty supportive, and they've got some pretty feisty young women that are supporting them too.
You actually were accused recently by some of the British press of attacking women who actually choose children over careers. What do you think of these attacks?
I'm afraid that was a bit of a misrepresentation of what I was saying, because what I was saying is it's vitally important to have choices. And one of the things we need to ensure for women is that they can have the choice to have their children, but also to be able to carry on with their careers, because far too often now, for many women across the world, it's a choice between career or family, the choice that men don't have to make. And we need to make it easier for women to be able to have their families and at the same time be able to develop the rest of their personality and to come back into the workforce and grow and make a contribution in that way, as well as the contribution they make in the home. That's about valuing motherhood, it's about valuing raising a family, but it's also about giving flexibility in the workforce so that the skills that women develop at home are valued and that they can be used.
So it was not you were not criticizing actually women who choose to be mothers, basically?
In fact, no, after all, I've chosen 4 times to be a mother myself, so I absolutely believe in motherhood. I think what the tragedy is, of course, is that many women don't have choices, and we need to make sure that women have the choices and actually are able to do both. Not because I believe you can have it all at once, but I think over the course of a lifetime, you can indeed both have a successful family life and be successful in whatever career you choose.
You wrote a book called The Goldfish Ball about your life as wife of Prime Minister Tony Blair. How would you describe this life? Was it difficult for you actually to keep your activity as a barrister?
It was very interesting because when I went into Number 10, there was a kind of expectation that obviously, because my husband's job had changed, that my job would somehow or other just go away. And since I had spent at that time about 25 years really working at my career and becoming a Queen's Counsel, which is what we call senior lawyers in my country, I didn't see why I had to give up my job. Now, I also didn't want not to be there to support my husband, and there were lots of
controversy about it, probably, right?
Well, just that it hadn't really happened before. Why? Partly because it's a generational thing. We have to remember in our countries that it's not that long ago that women weren't going to university. It wasn't that long ago that women were asked to give up work once they became married, and certainly when they got children.
So you wanted to keep your job?
And actually, that's actually what happens to most women in Britain. Actually, the norm these days is a working mother, not a stay-at-home mother.
About the UK, Cherie Blair, Prime Minister David Cameron said that there were more painful decisions awaiting Britain, and he said that Britain faced a sink or swim moment in the face of global competition. What do you think of that?
Well, I still think that globalization is a very positive thing. We were talking before about the opportunities in Africa. The question is, are we an open country that goes out there developing the skills of all our people and being open to taking the opportunities where we found them, or do we retreat into ourselves and rest on our historic achievements? I think this is a problem not just for Britain, it's actually a problem all over Europe at the moment, and I very much feel that Europe has so much to offer to the world. We have, we're not the same as America, we're not the same as Asia, we're not the same as Africa. There are different ways of doing things. We believe in diversity in the workforce. Diversity in the world is also important, and Europe has a European voice which we need to make sure is heard loudly and strongly across the world.
So you don't share this way of saying about painful decisions that
there are painful decisions, of course,
because of the crisis.
In life you have to make personal decisions, but out of those painful decisions, out of the choices you make, come opportunities. And I still see this is very much a time of opportunity for Britain, a time of opportunity for Europe, because technology, education, the skills of our people are important assets that we have already been able to grasp, and by using them and working cooperatively across the world, everyone can benefit.
Well, thank you very much, Cherie Blair, and thanks for you for watching, and stay with us on France 24.